All right, if you're gearing up for your biology board exams, you're in the right place. For the next few minutes, we're going to lock in some absolutely guaranteed marks. We are breaking down a topic that comes up every single year, the root pressure theory. So, let's just dive right in.
So why are we honing in on this one topic? Because look at that, it's worth a solid 2 to 3 marks. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but that can literally be the difference between an A and an A+. Honestly, it's one of the easiest ways to bank some marks right at the start of your exam.
And let's be super clear here. This isn't a topic that might show up. Oh no, it will show up. I've gone through years and years of exam papers, and a question on root pressure is there every single time. It is one of the most predictable things on the entire syllabus, which for you makes it an absolute gift.
So, let's do this. Let's turn any potential confusion you have into total confidence. Nailing this concept isn't just about scoring points. It's about walking into that exam hall knowing you've got an answer locked and loaded, ready to go. Now here's where it gets really interesting. This is a pretty straightforward topic, right? But look at this chart. A huge number of students only get partial credit or, yikes, even 0. So what's going on? Well, it all comes down to a few really common mistakes, and we're about to make sure you avoid every last one of them.
All right, let's get to the good stuff, the science. We're going to break down exactly what root pressure is, and I promise we're making it super simple. By the end of this bit, you'll be able to explain it in your sleep.
Okay, first things first, the definition that examiners are looking for. Root pressure is the positive hydrostatic pressure that develops in the xylem sap of the roots. Just think of it as a push from below. The two key words you absolutely have to remember are positive and hydrostatic. Burn those into your brain.
Okay, so that definition is great for 1 mark, but it doesn't really tell the whole story, does it? The real key to a full mark answer is explaining the how, the mechanism. So how on earth does this pressure actually build up inside a plant's root?
It all happens in 4 simple steps. First, it all kicks off with active transport. The root cells use energy, ATP, to literally pump mineral ions into the xylem. Now step 2. This pumping action creates a gradient. Suddenly, it's a lot saltier inside the xylem than it is in the surrounding soil. This leads right into step 3, osmosis. Water always wants to move from a less salty area to a more salty area to balance things out. So water from the soil just rushes in. And finally, step 4. All that water pouring into a tiny confined space, well, it builds up pressure. And boom, that's root pressure.
And you know what's cool? You can actually see this pressure in action. If you've ever walked outside early in the morning and seen these perfect little water droplets hanging off the edges of leaves, you're looking at root pressure. This phenomenon is called guttation, and it is the perfect real-world example to drop into your exam answer. Examiners love that stuff.
Now here's the secret sauce. If you want to go from a good answer to a great answer, the kind that really stands out, you have to talk about the limitations. Understanding what a theory can't explain is just as important as knowing what it can. This is where you show the examiner you're a top-tier student.
So let's break it down. On the left, you can see what root pressure is good for. Moving water in small, little plants, and of course causing that guttation we just talked about. But look at the right column, this is crucial. What can it not explain? Well, think about a giant redwood tree. There's no way this gentle push is strong enough to get water all the way to the top. It's also critical to mention that root pressure is not the main force driving water transport. That's a whole different process we'll get to later.
Okay, the knowledge is in your head. Now, the big question. How do we get it onto the paper for maximum marks? Let's get super practical and build your exam day playbook.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you take all this information we've just covered and structure it in a way that makes the examiner's job incredibly easy and gets you every single mark you deserve?
Okay, I need you to listen closely. These are the classic mistakes that cost students marks year after year. First, do not confuse root pressure, which is a push from below, with transpiration, which is a pull from above. They are totally different. Never ever say it's the main force, and you absolutely must mention active transport as the starting point. Avoid these simple traps and you are already way ahead of the game.
So, what's the secret to making an examiner love your answer? It's all about making it easy for them. Look at this checklist. Start with that crisp definition we talked about. Underline your keywords like osmosis. It just screams, give me the marks. A simple, clean, labeled diagram? That's a total game changer. And finally, list the limitations and nice, clear bullet points.
It just shows you can think like a scientist.
And please, remember this. Presentation is not just about being tidy. A well-structured answer sends a powerful signal to the examiner that you are organized and you know your stuff, inside and out. Seriously, a clean layout can absolutely be the difference between getting partial and full marks.
Whew, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's take a second to recap, lock in those key points, and talk about where you should go from here to keep building on this knowledge.
All right, get your phones ready. It is screenshot time. This right here is your pocket revision card. What's the big idea? It's pressure built from water rushing into roots via osmosis, all because of active ion transport. What's the key limitation? It's just a minor force, nowhere near strong enough for tall trees. And your #1 exam tip? Define it first, then explain the mechanism, and finish by stating the limitations. That structure is bulletproof.
Now that you've totally mastered root pressure, the next logical step is to tackle the main event, the transpiration pull theory. This is the major force we were talking about, the one responsible for getting water up those giant trees. And guess what? Understanding root pressure first gives you the absolute perfect foundation for it.
And just like that, you are fully prepared to smash this guaranteed question on your board exams. You're that much closer to hitting your target score. Keep this focus, stay consistent with your studies, and you are going to do brilliantly. Good luck.